we are talking about how to grow and monetize your Instagram, featuring the amazing Shannon Monson. I am so excited that you're here. So many questions on Instagram.
Yeah, so I'm a dietitian, and a couple years ago, I was just really struggling to take it to the next level with my nutrition coaching business. I had clients that I was working with, but it was mostly just like word of mouth. And I knew that there were a lot of people making a lot of money on Instagram. And I thought, like, sign me up. I want in on that. So I just started studying and learning everything that I could about Instagram. As I was focusing on growing my following, I, in the first couple of weeks, went from 160 friends and family members to 370 followers, which is still not very much. But I was able to sign my first 2 coaching clients from that. And that's when I realized that Instagram was just going to be a complete game changer for me and my business. And since then, I've collaborated with brands like Athleta and Quaker Oats and been able to have all of these really cool opportunities to grow my business and get exposure because of my Instagram presence. So I'm really excited to chat today and help you guys get a really strong strategy so that you can have more clients and more exposure and PR and all those things through everyone's favorite platform.
I love it. I'm so excited. Okay, first things first. There are some people who are still not on Instagram or who are not fully utilizing the platform because they're a little bit unsure of how to start it. And I was like, oh, I don't know. So before somebody jumps in on Instagram, I want to chat a little bit about just branding your account name, because this seems to be something that comes up a lot. Should I have my personal name? Should I have a business name? Should I do a feature account? And of course, there's pros and cons to all of these, but I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
I think the biggest thing that keeps people from starting their Instagram and really focusing on growing it is little details like that. We get so caught up in what should my color scheme be and what should my brand name be that we don't just start. So my first advice would be to just start. It really doesn't matter. You can always change your name down the line. In fact, I have 3 times. You can always change and go back. If you're not sure of a brand or business name yet, and that's something that's giving you a lot of anxiety, then use your name and just start posting content, because that's what's going to help you get a feel for how people connect to you and relate to you and what they really want from you. And that will help you define your brand by understanding, okay, when I realized I was sharing these really simple recipes, which is just how I ate at home. Like I'm a terrible cook, FYI. So I throw together like really simple things. And it came to me as I was just posting to Instagram as Shannon Monson that people were asking me for more simple recipes. And could you break down nutrition simply? And that's where the name came from. So I'm a big proponent of everything in your business. If you are held up by you're having a roadblock, just start taking action, because that's what's going to help give that clarity.
Absolutely. Now, for people who are getting stuck on the branding aspects and picking a theme, you have a beautiful feed where you take gorgeous photos, and you started with your iPhone, right?
Yeah, I started with my iPhone. Still, a large majority of my photos are iPhone. I'm starting to try and learn a little bit about photography and using more. But I think that the power of iPhone photography is that you take out all of these complicated steps. A photographer has to have an expensive camera. You've got to get everything set up just right and your settings. And then even after you shoot the photo, you've got to put it in 1 or 2 or 3 applications to edit it. And then you got to bring it back to your phone. So the whole process is just kind of really overwhelming. And what I found with iPhone photography, I started out a lot like you guys. I wasn't a photographer. I wasn't a creative. I was a coach, and I just wanted to share my message. So the power of iPhone photography is you can literally, take a quick picture of what you're eating, post a message around it, and then really start to tell a story and tell a narrative with strong visuals that you really were able to point and shoot really quickly on your iPhone. So I do think it's really important to focus on having a clear brand vision. I think you need to understand, what am I sharing and what's the way I'm sharing it? So if you're confused about what your Instagram should look like, I always recommend, just make a Pinterest board and see what you're attracted to, what styles. If you like dark and moody, or you like bright whites, like clearly I like the bright whites and strong contrast, like that's more of my personal feel. But again, same as the Instagram name, the way that you're going to get good at consistently sharing that visual message with iPhone photos is by doing it. Like if you scroll all the way back to my Instagram feed, they really were not that good at pictures, but the reality is it didn't matter because the message was strong. And so I think there's so much value in that, because again, I think we just get so held back by not having it perfect. I don't have perfect, beautiful photos next to each other, so I can't start on Instagram, when that's just honestly complete BS. It is.
It's so true. And I purchased a Canon 70D for recording like high quality footage, and was like, oh, well, I've got this really nice camera. I should take pictures with it. And it's so heavy. It's so clunky. I mean, it's an amazing camera, but to get all of the settings perfectly right and got to adjust this, I obviously haven't mastered that camera yet, but it is freaking time consuming. And honestly, especially because of Instagram being so small, the photos are so small on your phone, guys, you really can't tell that much of a difference in quality from the iPhone to a really nice camera. It doesn't, right? Like, do you find that too? It really doesn't make that much of a difference. It's not so significant.
It's not being blown up on a wall somewhere. And I actually, most of the time, like iPhone photos better, because it comes out just the way the lens is. It's easier to get more in your shot. But with iPhone photography, something that I'm always reminding people, like, are you in the business to become a photographer? You know, I knew when I started out, I didn't want to be a food blogger. I didn't want to be a photographer. That wasn't a skill I wanted to learn to get me to where I want to go. So why on earth would you be spending all of your time taking pictures for Instagram? It doesn't make sense. Like, you're a health coach, you're a nutritionist, a dietitian, a personal trainer, a wellness coach. You should be spending your time doing that. And so iPhone photography lets you market yourself and your skills without spending all your time trying to figure out how to use a Canon 70D, because nobody's got time for that. Literally.
Nobody's got time for that. Exactly. So for people who are trying to figure out what their branded color scheme is, I know you said check out Pinterest, go and create some kind of almost like a vision board, but a brand board. That is great advice. I find that sometimes when I give that assignment to people, they come back and they jokingly say, I know it looks like a kindergartner made this. It's like sparkles and pink and purple, and then we got the blue, and now we want like gold shimmer and like 800 different twisty fonts, and it looks like a kindergarten workshop. So how do we put them together? Are there any quick, basic, like ground rules to creating a powerful, professional looking brand board?
Yes. So we're not all designers, and we're not all naturally visual people. I am a strongly visual person. Like, before, I had a crummy Instagram feed, but I liked decorating my home and choosing my outfits. Like, that was something that was a strong point for me. So if you don't feel like that's the case, then don't worry about trying to capture this really beautiful aesthetic. Just keep it really simple. So buy 3, especially if you're like going to be posting food pictures or workout pictures, like get 3 consistent backgrounds you can use again and again. And I mean like a white foam board that every time you take a picture of your food, you can plop that down on the foam board and call it good. Like, it doesn't have to be this overly artistic, beautiful thing, but that way it's simple, it's easy to understand, and the focus is on your message, the food. Same thing if you are sharing workouts, like just stand in front of a white garage door and do your workouts, because I think you have to remember, people are scrolling so quickly through their feed. They're not obsessing about how much your photos match next to each other. Like, once they're already following you, right? I do think that matters, and they click over, and the like most recent 9 photos should be really aesthetically pleasing. But remember that, you know, you just have a second to grab someone's attention, and they need to know right away, okay, what am I going to learn, or what am I going to get or be inspired by this post? And they can't figure that out if there's like kids in the background. It's confusing. So rather than try and achieve a certain aesthetic that you are probably not going to hit unless you have a certain level of like design talent and experience, like, not everybody needs to have this like perfect feed. And in fact, mine really was not at all. It was just food on white backgrounds with iPhones. And like, the more I look back, I'm like, oh, that actually wasn't very good. But remember, like, the people following you have untrained eyes. They're not designers and artists and creatives. They're just moms who want to know what to make for dinner tonight. So I think the simpler, the better. So if you're finding yourself like pulled to all of these like shiny, sparkly, different things, just like push it all to the side and just stick with white or black or hot pink if you want to, but keep it super, super consistent. I think consistency is like the number one goal. And if you can't tell that if things are consistent, put them next to each other. Like put a couple of pictures next to each other, and your eye will immediately see like that one doesn't fit or that one doesn't fit. So I'd say just like anything else, it's a process, but don't aim to be the most beautiful photography account in the world or the most well-designed Instagram account in the world, because Instagram's just about connection with those people. Just keep it simple and focus on your message.
Totally. Yeah, something that I've actually recently started doing is, well, first of all, I finally feel like I've stepped into a consistent visual aesthetic. It's something that's evolved over time. So I love your advice in the beginning. Just start, because seriously, you will figure it out as you go, and things may change. Your name may change, the visuals may change. But now what I do is I'll open up Instagram on my computer, look at the picture that I'm about to post, and go, okay, how is that going to fit into the tiles? Is it going to look balanced? Is it going to be too much white in one corner? And that way I'm not uploading and deleting things and going, no, that one's not good. No, that one's not good. That needs more filter. It needs more this, because that's what a lot of people do. And then 3 hours later, they still haven't posted a picture on Instagram, and they throw their hands up and they're like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore.
Wasting their time. Yeah. I really recommend batch creating your photos. There's an app that I use that's actually free. It's amazing. It's called Later, Later. And you can upload all your photos and see how they look next to each other that way. So I'll actually like schedule it out. I know which posts are happening on which day. That way you can visually see ahead of time as well. Another recommendation I have is like use Dropbox. Put the photos in Dropbox so you can drag them around. But I think like anytime, it's something you need to be aware of and paying attention to. But what I've found is that people obsess over it more than just sharing their message and getting stuff out there.
Totally. I know one thing that a lot of the ladies were asking was they keep seeing their followers go up and down and up and down. And there's a lot of weird stuff that's going on Instagram with the algorithm, and there are new rules coming out in terms of you can't use bots and you can't do this. And like, what are some of the things that have changed, maybe just even in the last 6 months, that you've noticed on Instagram that's maybe made it harder for people, or there's just the rules have changed?
Yeah, I think that a lot of times when changes happen, we kind of like freak out, like, oh, I just barely got used to this.
Yeah.
But I will say that as much as everybody says, like, you know, Instagram is like trying to hide your followers from you, the algorithm is only here to help you. Instagram loves underdogs, is always featuring and championing underdogs. They're not here to make the popular more popular. You think about how the Explore page, like way back when, used to only be popular accounts, and now it's just people that you might be interested in. I promise you, Instagram wants to help you get found. So if you're struggling to really get traction with followers, and you're really gaining and losing quickly, then what's happening is you aren't building relationships with those people. It might be kind of follows for follows. And the first thing I would say to look at is, are you giving them a good reason to follow you? Because more often than not, especially with health and wellness accounts, I see a lot of like, here's a green juice I'm drinking, or like, love this restaurant, or like, oh my goodness, just did the best workout. Right. And they're not realizing, you think that you're being motivated, but what you don't realize is that that's really only motivating to you, and you're not actually adding value. So flip it from, I call it the what I'm doing now post. Flip it from the what I'm doing now post to here's what you can do now. So take them through a workout. Give them a full recipe, and don't bury it at the end of like a daily journal diatribe, right? Like just straight up, like, here's a recipe that's so easy for you. Here's a workout that's so easy for you. Here's a goal setting technique you can implement. I think that when you make that swap to just be adding so much value, you'll find you're not gonna be losing followers, because people unclick people hit unfollow when you are no longer value to them. You're not making their life better. You're not making it funnier, or you're not making them smarter or more inspired. But I promise you, that's the only reason people are hitting unfollow, because you are not adding value. So if you're getting a lot of follows for follows, what's happening is the value that you're adding in their life is that you're going to follow them back. So don't follow people in order to get followed back. That doesn't make any sense, and yet people are still doing it. So stop following people. Instead of like hitting follow, trying to get followers, spend time in the Explore tab and on hashtags that are relevant to you, really building real, true friendships and relationships. Some of my best friends are built out of Instagram. Some of my favorite customers and clients, like, it started that way, where I was just sending them like leaving a genuine comment on their post. So I can't express enough how much it's about the relationship. And if that part is going wrong for you, then as much as this is tough love, you're not building relationships.
100%. The follow thing is just kind of rampant right now. And it's like follow and just double click. And honestly, following and liking, I don't know about anyone listening to this, but I don't really take note of that. But if somebody takes the time to write something really thoughtful on my post, they either read it or they something about the picture, the story, I take notice of that because it's so rare. It's so rare on Instagram these days. And I love what you were saying before too about the algorithm and how it really is in favor of us. And I think a lot of people don't realize, but there's so many people on Instagram and Facebook and all of these social media platforms that if we didn't have some kind of algorithm in place, if they didn't do that, our feed would be moving so quickly, we'd never see a single photo because that's how fast things are populating. So the reason that the algorithm is in place is because it wants to give you some kind of ability to actually look at the things that are your preferences.
And it goes back to quality over quantity, because I know, especially on Instagram where your numbers are just like so prevalent right there, it can be like enticing to just want that like number to go up. What we found, what I found personally, as soon as the algorithm came out, my reach pretty much cut in half and our sales went up. So like that tells me that, okay, people that weren't interested in seeing our content aren't anymore, and I don't have to like really bug them. And people that are the most invested were able to catch more, be more engaged, and take it to the next level. So I'm always coming back to like, are we growing just for growth's sake, or are we growing with quality leads that are interested in our message and what we're doing and our products and services? Because that's the whole point of my Instagram account, is to help grow our business.
Right. And I know the other day when we were chatting, you said something that I'm like, boom, this is so powerful. You don't need 10,000 followers to make 10K in your business or to make 10K months. And I would love for you to expand on that, because you're proof of that right now. You're saying, hey guys, listen, my reach cut in half and our sales went up. I think a lot of people don't have that system in place to monetize. So what's happening there?
So I've always, my revenue model has always been based off of like coaching service, like informational products rather than sponsorships with brands. I'm not a blogger. I don't have a blogger business model. And I do think that if that's your business model, you're proving to companies how much of a reach you have and how much of an influence you have. And I absolutely think if you are running a blogger business model, that hurt a little bit. Because what's happening is just more transparency. Whereas before, to a company, you'd say, I've got 20,000 followers, this is my reach, and then price your package based on that. Now they can see, well, you have 20,000 followers, but 11,000 of them are seeing your message, and this many are clicking over to your links. Like there's so much more. Companies can just measure it. Yeah, can measure it better. So I think that was just like a bubble that was going to pop. But probably if you guys are watching this, you don't have 50,000 followers in a blogger business model. So what has always been so encouraging for me with Instagram was that I got my first 2 clients, literally doubled my monthly revenue with 371 followers. So I just think that's such great proof that it's not about the numbers, it's about the people and the high quality people. So I do think there's a huge misconception that people think that followers equals money, and that's not true by any means. Followers means there's people walking into your business door and looking around. Your ability to then get them to pick up an item and give them your money, like that's truly a whole nother beast, especially in online sales. So I'm a big proponent of, there's actually absolutely no reason for you to grow your Instagram following unless you have a business model set up, in my opinion. I don't think that there's any point in trying to become a blogger or an influencer or, these things. If that is a long-term goal and it happens one day, awesome. But why are you growing your following in the first place?
Where are you sending people? How are you collecting their information?
What are you offering them? Because if you have that set up, and that was something, I was already a nutrition coach. I already knew how to get on the phone with somebody and turn him into a 3 or 6 month client. And so that changed everything for me. And that's why when the algorithm came out, I didn't freak out, because same business model, I'm still reaching people that are interested in my message and And the ones that are most interested are signing on and getting products and services and helping to grow our business.
Yeah. So how do you effectively sell on Instagram? Because there's a lot of different ways that you can set it up.
Yeah.
So I'm curious what you do.
I'm a very big proponent that Instagram is about building relationships. It's not a place for selling. So I have never, ever sold on Instagram. What I use Instagram for is to build these really strong relationships. And then every 3 or 6 months, or sometimes every 6 weeks, then I invite those people into essentially my sales funnel. I invite them to take a free class and learn more about our products and services. And that's how we get someone from an Instagram follower to a customer. What I found though is we also run a lot of paid traffic through Facebook ads and Instagram ads. And those people that have been following me for months or weeks even are converting so much faster and higher than someone that I just paid for the traffic. They didn't know me from Adam, just barely came over. So I do think that I have lots of friends that sell directly out of Instagram, sell like products, and basically every single post is about a product, and they do that really well. So I think it's less about how I do it and more that you have a specific proven method in place. So whatever it is that you want to sell, I would find someone who's doing it really well and take a course from them, or hire them to work with you one-on-one. If you want to be an Etsy shop owner, or you want to be a health coach, or you want to sell online courses, find someone who does it, because that's the business aspect. It's not the Instagram aspect. And believing that your Instagram following will increase your bank account is not only untrue, it's really disappointing when it doesn't happen.
Yep. Let that sink in for a sec. Yeah, no, it's so true. So many people are just chasing followers and wondering why the money's not coming in. But they either don't have something to monetize, like you said, you don't have an offer, or it's just set up in such a complicated and confusing way, or they're trying to pitch too soon, or they're just blasting their followers with nonstop pitching. I see this a lot in the network marketing space, especially where, there is such a need for a volume business. And a lot of the posts, and this is across the board in all kinds of companies, it's not actually a personal brand account. It looks like somebody who's a rep for the company. So why is that so ineffective?
Before I tell you why that's so ineffective, I want to tell you why it can be so effective. So there's a lifestyle blogger that I've been following for months, and I just love her stuff. Like, I just feel like we're connected, we're best friends. We've messaged back and forth a couple times. And last week, or Sunday night, I think, for the first time in the 3 months that I've been following her, she announced, hey, did you know that we really love oils? And I have this oils account, and you can learn more about how to join our team. I was sold, as well as I'm sure like hundreds others. But sometimes I think that the volume game can only happen if you're pitching every single day, if you're trying to get people every single day. But I'm telling you, if you'll stick in for the long haul, I'm sure this is an announcement she makes every 3 months or so, or maybe it's every month, but you're able to get all of those new followers at the same time into your business. So I can't express enough how much network marketers, the biggest mistake I see it being made is playing the short game. You want people to sign up on your live video today. You want them to sign up after your Instagram post today. And it's not about that. It's about relationships, the same as it is in my business. So why it's not effective, it's just like, and I can use this analogy because someone's told me before, I sound like the salesman at the mall carts, which is so offensive. Regardless.
Someone said that to you?
Yeah, on a webinar. I was like, thank you, and you're welcome to sign up at any time.
Gotta love a good troll.
The minute you walk past them, you know that they're trying to sell you something. And Instagram is not a selling platform. People don't come to Instagram to buy stuff. You go to see what your friends are doing and see what's going on in their day. So when you try and make it like a pamphlet and flyers, then people are so turned off because you're like, it's like walking into your bedroom and being like, here, buy this, right? It's like bringing them all to your, because that's exactly where people are getting on Instagram. They're laying down at night in their bed and they're scrolling through their feed. And so it needs to be organic to that platform. So rather than sharing, posts that are click here and these are free specials, I think that you should be sharing about your life and your story and letting people come along your journey with you. And then you can really, really subtly bring in how you know, this Beachbody program you've been doing, like, look at the results that you've had, but that's like one post of 10 or 20. And the same with oils or any other products that you're selling, because these are lifestyle products.
Yeah.
I know that you're trying to tell people that these products will change your life. That's what I get in these direct messages all the time. These products
all day long.
My life. So rather than tell people in a direct message, show them in a series of Instagram posts over the course of 3 months, and not mentioning the product every time. You know, just let them come along for the ride. And you can say, remember how I had a really rough week last week? The kids were being crazy. This week we tried this. It was so life-changing, so-and-so napped, right? And then you're making a relationship with people rather than making sales transactions.
Absolutely. You're creating that curiosity and allowing them, through sharing your story, to actually put themselves in that place and visualize that and imagine themselves with an extra nap. Oh, that would be nice.
Lovely?
Yeah. So you're actually giving them, you're painting that picture for them. So that's a good little sales tip right there. So we have to chat a little bit about hashtags, because I know that this is especially difficult, apparently, for a lot of the ladies in network marketing, because I think they're posting or using a lot of their company hashtags as opposed to using the hashtags that their followers are using. But yet they're still finding that the only people coming to like their stuff are other people in their company, which is clearly not going to generate sales.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would say is your content something that someone who's not in your network marketing company would be interested in, right? Like if it's just you doing Beachbody videos, then the only other people interested in that are other people doing the same thing. Yeah. So that's the first thing, like always go back to the content you're sharing. But what I always come back to is, you know, I used Instagram for a long time, just personally as a mom and a woman. I used Instagram, like, I think I was already married when it came out and getting old here. But I never, ever once, as like a normal Instagram user, commented on someone's photo that I didn't know. I never once looked up a hashtag and searched it for accounts to follow. Like, that's not the normal person's method of using Instagram. So I think when you really internalize that, why in the world would hashtag Beachbody coach, that's probably the wrong hashtag, I don't know anything about this. Why in the world, I'm like, keep picking
no, that
that.
is one that's used a lot, yeah.
Why would hashtag doTERRA help you find someone who's never used doTERRA oils before? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So I do think the hashtags can be powerful when you're using like really strategic ones. So think about what are those hashtags that a new mom who might be interested in oils might be using. It has nothing to do with oils. It's probably like,
hashtag mom of two.
Yeah, hashtag like mom of littles, like things like that, right? So it can be really powerful, but even at that, I don't think that posting it on your photo is as powerful as searching the hashtag and going out and looking for people using that hashtag. I've never really seen a ton of growth from just posting hashtags, unless it's like with the intention of getting reposted by a brand. Like I'm using their hashtag. So food companies, I'll use their hashtag when I post their photos in order to get refeatured to their audience and grow my following that way. So I think that hashtags are a really great tool. They're just used in the wrong way. So all of these, like, I'm getting follows for follows, I'm not getting any traction. I'm posting hashtags, I'm not getting any followers. Like, take a deep breath, because as much as this might not be, I know you're working really hard, but you're not working in the right way. So step back and let's look at how can we strategically do this so that we are getting growth. And what I found is my fastest, most engaged growth comes from collaborations, like reaching out to other people and companies and setting up strategic collaborations.
Okay, so what's an example of that? Because this might be new for some people and they're like, okay, I'll do it. I need to figure this out. What's my first step?
So the first step is just is establishing the relationship. So usually what I'll do is start following someone on Instagram and just leave some genuine comments and likes and just kind of be on their radar for a while. Like, we're just establishing that relationship. And then I'll send a direct message or send an email a couple weeks later just saying, hey, I really loved something recent that you did, so that they can see that you are paying attention to what's going on and not just looking for what's in it for you. And then I'll usually pitch some sort of idea. I'm interested in doing an Instagram takeover swap or a recipe feature swap. You share on my page, I'll share on yours, vice versa. Sometimes with bigger brands, it might be actually like creating content for a blog post for them, or doing something that, like an interview like this, like I would consider what Jen and I are doing as a collaboration. This is an opportunity to tag your name in their Instagram caption on Instagram. So that could be like using a hashtag specific to brand and then reposting it, or setting something up very intentionally that, last month, Athleta and I did a collaboration where I basically documented our vacation, our weekend in Charleston with a bunch of their outfits. We created a whole blog post out of it. They posted about it on Instagram. I posted about it on Instagram. Both of our followings grew. There's probably not very much more than it already did, but they were able to sell a lot of clothes. So it was a win-win situation. So that's what I'm always looking to set up with collaborations. And what you'll find, I think, when you reach out to people, and I'm actually teaching a free class on this coming up, so I'll give you the information about that.
Yes.
What I found when you reach out to people is there's either two things that are going on. Either your content isn't good enough, like your photos, it's just not good content, you're not adding enough value, or you're only thinking about how it's going to help you. Like the pitch, whatever you're asking, is something that will add value to you, but not necessarily to them. Like if Jen had said, Shannon, come on my podcast, I'm not going to tell anybody about it, or like use your real name. You're not really going to get any exposure because nobody really listens to it. I'd be like, yeah, I'm busy. Like I could be working right now, right? But instead, she's like, hey, we've got this great audience. I think that they would love you. These great listeners. We'll share about your business, and you can, drop some knowledge. And so it's a win-win for both of us. Jen gets hopefully great content. Let's hope this is great content. And I get some exposure to people that might not have known me before. And you're all going to come follow me on Instagram now, right? No, I'm just
Heck yeah.
Please do.
At Shannon Monson. I think this is such good advice, because so many of the women, especially who are in the earlier stages of their businesses, they don't realize that they can pitch either podcasters or brands or just other influencers or in their space, each other. Yeah. I'm like, guys, you don't have to necessarily run to the top podcaster and say, hey, put me on your show. I have nothing to offer. You don't want to do that. But like Shannon's saying, figure out what you can possibly offer. So for her, she was able to say, I'm going to get your business some sales because they're going to buy your clothes, and I'm going to get followers out of it. So there's got to be that equal or some close to equal win-win, because there are people, and I don't know if you get this too, people pitch for the podcast and their pitch is, hey, I'm obsessed with your show. I love listening to it. It's amazing. Can I come on it? And it's like, what do you want? That's not a pitch. Like, what kind of value are you going to bring? What do you even want to talk about? What's the topic? It's like, okay.
Well, just people are so busy. Like we don't have the time to weed through and make it work. So if you hand it to them on a silver platter, like 9 times out of 10, they're going to say like, yes. If it's a good fit, they're going to say, yes, that's perfect. But if I have to like weed through, it's not other people's job to make your like pitch good or your content good.
Right. Yeah. When people give me like specific things like, hey, I'd love to be on your show. Here are some topics that I could cover. I'm
now I feel honored. I didn't have to pitch.
I'm like, wow. Oh, yeah. We just found you. I saw your Facebook ads. I saw your Facebook ads and I loved the production quality. I loved your message. I loved your energy. So, I might not be your perfect ideal client, but it worked on me.
Thank you. No, you're absolutely my perfect ideal client. The other thing I wanted to mention is, especially when you're starting out, and I know this is something I struggled with a lot, like that first collaboration, that first feature, like you have this strong desire to prove yourself. Right?
Like this.
You need to prove to your family, you need to prove to your friends that what you're doing is worthwhile, that you're good at it. And you're trying to get an Oscar with your first performance, truthfully. So you're upset because you're pitching Mind Body Green and these like massive companies that get pitches all day long, and you're not getting features. The reason I got traction on Instagram so fast, so early, was because I only reached out to other health and wellness bloggers that had, 5 or 10,000 followers on Instagram. I sent them direct messages. I knew they weren't getting inundated with direct messages, because as much as like 5 and 10,000 might seem like so much, I promise you, like we're tiny, tiny fish. And that's where you're going to, like, Gary Vee always says this, but 1 is greater than 0. There's so much more value in getting in front of the right one person who's then going to come on your marketing team and be a member of your team or become a paying client for 6 months, you don't need to get in front of 100,000 people. And honestly, sometimes the best people that have the strongest relationship with the people they're already following, it's a more intimate relationship in these smaller settings. So I still always try and set up collaborations with small people and get my message heard in front of small audiences, because if somebody invited you to speak to a room of 10 people, you wouldn't say no. Yeah. Because it wasn't going to be a sold out Taylor Swift concert, right? And yet we have the same attitude about like pitching our content and getting featured, that it like needs to be a big deal and it needs to be something that I can like put on my as seen banner. Like, who cares? I've been like featured so many places that I'm never going to be like this huge brand, right? But that's what helps you grow your following. So I know that you want to prove yourself, but it's not going to happen overnight. And I wish so desperately that someone had told that to me and just been like, it's okay. Like, this is a long game and you're going to prove that in the end, you're the real deal and you're legit, but it's going to take time to get there. It's going to take time for your content to get good enough. You have to keep putting out content, but that doesn't mean you can't get collaborations and get features right now, today.
I love this. And I think it's so powerful too, what you're saying, because sometimes the smaller audiences are actually more connected to that influencer, that person, because they've got a smaller audience. They nurture them more individually and they're more hungry to buy. So yeah, you might be stepping in front of 1 million people, but the audience of 5,000 might actually be closer to your ideal audience, more connected to the influencer that they're following, and it may end up putting more money in your pocket, you being able to serve those people more thoroughly. So just because it's not a big number, that's not really a reason not to do something. And I think this goes too with even your own followings, your own Instagram and Facebook followings. Don't phone it in just because you haven't hit 1,000 or 5,000 or 100,000 people yet. There's still people 500. Who are listening, or 500, yeah, whatever the number is, or 3, show up. I remember, do you know Mike Dooley, Notes from the Universe? Okay, so he started email marketing way back when, and he says, I wrote those emails every single morning as if I was writing to millions of people, even though I only had 10 people on my email list. And now he's got like hundreds of thousands, probably close to 1 million. It grew because he set those intentions and showed up every single day as if he was speaking to 1,000, 100,000, 1 million people. So seriously, guys, good content goes a long way. Don't hold back content because you're waiting for the following to grow. The following will grow if you put out good stuff.
Boom.
Boom. And I want to talk to you about Instagram stories, because I don't know about you, Shannon, but I find that I've been able to connect with people on such a deeper level because of video. Video is just everything. And I love Facebook Live for that, but I'm so stoked with stories and Instagram Live. I find that when I respond to people's Instagram stories, it's so much more powerful and such an easier way to get inside somebody's inbox in an authentic and creepy way, as opposed to just like commenting 1 million times on their posts. What are your thoughts on that? And what experiences have you had with that so far? Because I feel like it's still kind of evolving.
Insta stories is where it's at. Like, it's absolutely, live video is the next everything. I know it's intimidating to learn a new thing. I still think like your classic feed and posts are very important. To me, what's happened is my like Instagram feed and the posts I'm putting up is kind of like decorating my storefront. Like, it's letting people know that we're a legit business and here's like a sampling of what you get. But the real interaction, 10 years ago, it was in blog comments, and then it was on Facebook posts, and then it was an Instagram post. Right now it's in direct messages. It absolutely is, because it's just a really personal connection. So if you're not doing Insta stories, start. It's something that even I'm like struggling to do it as often as I want, but either turn it into, if you don't know what to post, teach a mini lesson. I don't think like a lot of us are educators. I don't think you can ever go wrong with that. So just find something you're doing in your daily routine and turn it into a lesson, a recipe you're cooking, an oil you're making, like a clean beauty thing you're cooking, you're making up, and turn it into like a teaching moment. Just, okay, here's what I'm doing. Here's step 1, step 2, step 3. And there's the final product. If you have any questions, just send me a DM. It's so personal. I think one of the biggest struggles when you flip the camera around, and it's so scary, right? Because it's like the unknown, like who's listening, who's watching, what are they going to think? So I've been able to just completely get rid of all of that fear by just pretending Candace is on the other side and it's just a FaceTime with my best friend, because that's the only way that I can talk just like genuinely and not in that, okay guys, today we're going to, right? So
and like become Barbie robot.
Exactly, because Barbie, I'm actually like, thank you. Because it's supposed to be a really intimate platform. And if you try and make it something that it's not, people will immediately recognize that, again, you're just trying to tell them about your product so you'll buy it, or you're just trying to, you know, post so that you'll join their team. So the more you can be just like intimate, hey guys, here's what I'm doing right now. And if it helps, like truly pretend you're FaceTiming someone, or like have a friend stand right behind that phone and just talk to them, like talk right through that phone. It's definitely something you need to like practice and learn. You also don't have to be on the screen in stories either. We do a lot of stories that are just like photos only, and they're really efficient. You can tell a whole blog post in 7 photos on Insta Stories without anybody ever having to leave their favorite platform. So study people who are doing Insta Stories you do well and copy them. Like, absolutely. I think that, like find what you think is going to be like your style of Insta Stories. And I think it's just like growing and evolving. And in the beginning, I was trying to make them super professional, and I did an Insta Story to like tell people to come over here. And I'm literally like straightening my hair. I'm like, hurry, come over. Like, we'll come hang and chat about Instagram. So I think it's okay for it to be an evolving thing. And the beauty of it is it really disappears. It just really does. So
it's gone.
Yeah.
That's kind of the fun
don't
thing
let it
too.
stress you out. Yeah.
Well, that's what I actually am loving right now about Instagram Stories, because they took a little note from Periscope, which is kind of, is Periscope a dying platform? I don't know.
I think Periscope is a dead platform.
Okay, yeah. Some people still use it and really work it. So there's parts of the world where people are still on the Periscope game, but I love that it disappears within 24 hours because it creates that urgency around, I have to watch this now or I'm not going to get to see it. And urgency in sales is a key piece. So if you guys are not already utilizing Instagram Stories and you're just kind of obsessing over your feed, you got to get on Instagram Stories. And I like the idea of, going through. I'm sure you guys are already as obsessed as we are with Instagram Stories and watching them all day and getting not enough work done because it's just like, oh, stories. Look at these cute dogs. I love this.
Yeah.
Babies.
Chocolate. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of different styles that people have right now with Instagram Stories. There's some people who are doing more fitness style stuff and doing workouts. There are some people who are given a play-by-play of their whole day. And I'm actually kind of trying to do something like that right now with mine, just to be like, hey, this is what I do as an entrepreneur. I'm not on video all day long, but I'm working. So here's what a day in the life is like. And I've been getting a lot of fun feedback from that. And yeah, you just got to play with it and see what your audience is going to resonate with.
Yeah, if you're just getting started on Instagram, I would actually focus on putting stories out more and more often than Instagram posts.
Okay,
the algorithm is favoring people that are using stories more often and using live more often, because again, like that's where people are moving to. What's helped me, because I think that especially in online business, and I remember starting out, as one of my biggest fears, like, am I going to master something and then it's going to go away?
Ooh.
The answer is like yes, but also no, because Insta Stories, it's a blog post 10 years ago. It really is. Instagram posts, like it's just the evolution of content. So you don't have to relearn the wheel. You're just presenting it in a different way. So you might have done a blog post in 2007 that was 10 steps to make, slow cooker chicken. That's a bad example. Hopefully everybody knows how to do that. And it might have been, all these edited pictures, like Pioneer Woman style. And today it's like in your kitchen with you and you're just showing people on Insta Stories as you're doing it. So I think that connection has helped me a lot to realize, because so many people, their biggest fear is, what do I even say? What do I do? And it's like, well, take the exact same content that you would have put out there as one image in a post or as a blog post or as a live video and turn it into, a little mini story.
This is such good advice. Literally taking the skills that you've already developed with you as the platforms are changing. Because like you said, it's not going to go away. If you did Periscope, you learned how to be captivating on video, and that translated into Facebook Live and now Instagram Live. So it is coming over. It's just, you got to do a little tweaking to fit the new platform and reusing that content that you've already done and the things you've already mastered and just reframing it in this new world. I love it. This is so good.
It's so much easier, especially if you're like stressed about making things look pretty and Like, this is a great way to connect with people and share content without having to worry about any of the aesthetic side of it, really.
Yeah. Like literally just make it raw and real. People are very connected to your personality. If you get on video, you can connect with somebody literally 10 times faster than just through posts, especially if your posts are more of a storefront. Like I try to make it look more professional, more polished. You know, this is a real business. But then Instagram stories, it's like, all right, things are going to get weird over here. Get weird.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
And I just think video has hands down changed my business. Like you said, the video that you found me through, like that's how a lot of people have found us. And I don't think, you know, if you do feel overwhelmed with it, you can upload videos that you like take already and edit it. Like, so if it makes you feel better to just put your phone on a tripod and like teach a 10-minute lesson, do it. And then take it and clip it into 15-second clips and upload it to Insta stories. Like, I don't think that should be your flow in the long run. But if you feel overwhelmed about, you know, how do I get this to fit here, just do the full version and then edit it down.
I actually think there's an app that does that for you. I don't remember the name, but go check it out, guys, because I'm pretty sure there's an app. I'll look up the name and maybe post it below this. But it'll automatically clip it for you into the right amount of seconds so that you don't have to sit in iMovie and try to do it yourself.
Okay, very cool. I'm going to jump on this without like naming names. I have a friend who works on she's a social media manager for a very, very big company that sells some form of female underwear. So it's like it's a big deal, right? And I've been watching the founders' Insta stories and just like absolutely love them, think they're hilarious, and come to find out that she literally has and she's an older woman, she literally has no idea how to do an Insta story. She basically just like vlogs all day long and sends a bunch of videos to them, and they're like cutting them down and like creating a story. So if you're wondering, you know, how do I create like a beginning, middle, and end, or how do I, like, that's your life is a story. It's naturally already happening. Start recording stuff and then clip it down, and that's how you'll figure out how to start recording them just on your phone.
So smart. Yeah, this reminds me of the Gary Vee quote where he says, "Document, don't create." That's it.
Gary.
Oh, Gary.
Could have just had him on the show. What am I doing here?
But we both quoted him, so you know, we've got our love for Gary Vee. He just holds it down. But yeah, no, this is so funny and such good advice. And I think, you know, gosh, if you've got a team that can do that for you, score.
Oh, yeah, if you have a team that can do it for you, you should be. But even if you don't have a team, like if you feel overwhelmed, like how do I make this work? Just start doing it.
Start doing it. Amen to that.
Also, people care way less than you think they do. I always think, anytime I post, because I'm really like, I love beautiful things. And so I really try and keep my Insta stories more professional, like more pretty. And then every once in a while, I'll just like be like running out the door and like slap something up because they just wanted to get it. Like literally my today, straightening my hair, getting ready to chat with you. And that's 99% like the best engagement. So don't feel so overwhelmed about like, people can always swipe. They can straight up mute you if they don't like. You can like hold down the button on stories and mute someone from stories. So don't let the fact that someone might not like it keep you from posting it.
So true. Such true words. So where can people come and hang out with you? Where can they learn more about you and all of your amazing free offerings for Instagram?
Yeah, well, come to Instagram.
Yes.
I'm on Instagram at Shannan Monson, and my name is spelled with 2 A's. So it's SHANNAN Monson, MONSON. Come say hi on Instagram. And then, you know, I'm the founder of the nutrition business, Nutrition Simply, nutritionsimp.ly. And I don't have like a place where all of our freebies are, but I like announce them when we're doing them live. So definitely come follow on Instagram and you'll be the first to know about, we've got a class coming up next week where I'm teaching all about collaborations and features specifically. So if you liked what we talked about earlier, you would love that. And then if you're interested in learning how to grow your Instagram with iPhone photography, I've got an awesome free class at nutritionsimp.ly/masterclass.
Amazing. So guys, go check those out. Head over to Instagram, go give Shannan some love, shower her with some gratitude if you loved this episode, and don't forget to leave us a review.